Okay, so I decided to make this video on my SoulCalibur collection. So I think I have all of the physical games. I don't have every variant, like the regional variants and deluxe and collector's edition stuff, because I'm not that much of a collector. But obviously I am enough to try to get as many as I can. So I guess we'll start all the way from the top. So this is So originally came out in arcade. It was called Soul Edge, but because of trademark issues, I think with another company called Edge, they had to call the game Soul Blade, and outside of Japan, so that's why it's Soul Blade, not Soul Edge, because the name of the weapon itself is actually Soul Edge. So this is, it's a pretty good game. It has a pretty in-depth single player mode, but Namco was really good for that at the time because Tekken also had a lot of extra features. That's I think what sets them apart from, say, Sega, which they had more bare bones arcade conversions, like for Virtua Fighter 2, but they had Fighters Mega Mix. That was a great game, but that wasn't an arcade conversion. Yeah, so that game is fun, but I didn't play it nearly as much. So this might be the SoulCalibur game I've played the most. It's definitely the Dreamcast game I've played the most. This is SoulCalibur. So Legend has it. It was originally supposed to be... Well, this was originally an arcade game as well, but the Dreamcast version was a massive upgrade, like with in terms of graphics and content, the arcade version, and rumor has it that it was originally supposed to be a PS1 game, but they had issues like getting it to work, so they put it on the Dreamcast. I have no idea how true that story is. I would have to actually do research to see if there actually was an interview when they said anything to that effect, but that one is a great game. I played a ton of the single player modes. I think it was Edgemaster mode, and I really liked that game. It was also really, it's one of the highest rated games of all time. It really impressed people when it came out. So then next, this might be the fan favorite game in the franchise. I'm that's the one that a lot of people, when I see them, say their favorite. I do like how each version has a different cover art. So this SoulCalibur 2, this was also originally an arcade game, but when they ported it to console, of course, they added a ton of features, and they also had each version have its own guest character. So the Xbox version had Spawn, which is a Todd McFarlane creation. There's also Necrid, which is another Todd McFarlane creation, but he was made for this game like Spawn. Hey Hachi, actually I want to see, so that's, who is that? Is that Taki or, no, that's Taki. That must be Xianghua or Xiaomina. I'm having trouble figuring out who that is, but you can see that, and the GameCube version had Link, which I'm pretty sure Link is probably the most famous of the three. Although the PS2 version was that's another thing, was going to have Cloud originally, but the deal fell through, so they put Heihachi on, which it would have been really, I think the PS2 version probably would have got a lot more attention if it had Cloud instead. That would have been awesome, but Heihachi, he's a unique character because he doesn't actually really have a weapon. As most of you know, he's from Tekken, which is not a weapons-based fighting game, but the next one, SoulCalibur 3, so I heard that there's an arcade version as well. And apparently I don't know if the arcade version came out before or after this, but apparently the arcade version has like content and balanced modes and whatever that version doesn't have. So there's not really a definitive version of SoulCalibur 3. Same with SoulCalibur 2. There's an and so the SoulCalibur got of course my cat's coming on. He never leaves me alone. He always wants to see what I'm up to. But so SoulCalibur had a port on the Xbox Live Arcade, but they removed some features to fit the data. It was an HD version of SoulCalibur 2, but that wasn't released on a Nintendo console, so of course it wasn't I was really hoping like the Switch would have got a version with all three guest characters, but there is a work in progress mod for that, but there was never an official version with all three. Come on, just let me finish recording. Okay, so SoulCalibur 4. So actually that's another thing. So SoulCalibur 2 kind of started a trend of guest characters in the series. SoulCalibur 3 didn't really have an official guest character, but I think they had Cosmos as a creatable part. And then SoulCalibur 4 had the Apprentice from Star Wars: The Force Unleashed, and then the PS3 version had Darth Vader. Well, the 360 version had Yoda, so it's kind of interesting Star Wars stuff there. You actually could have bought the other versions as DLC, so if you had PS2 you could buy Yoda, if you had 360 you could buy Darth Vader, but of course the DLC is not up anymore, so you can't do that. And then here's SoulCalibur Broken Destiny for the PSP. It's kind of like a port of SoulCalibur 4 for PSP. Obviously it's not exactly the same, but they have Kratos as the guest character in that one. And so up to this point, I would say it's kind of worth it getting into different versions, especially since the DLC's down for this. Once you get to SoulCalibur 5, it just kind of becomes more standard. So as you can see, this is SoulCalibur 5. This one, I think it's a bit divisive because they got rid of a lot of the favorites, including the female characters, because apparently you can't have old female characters. Don't know why Namco feels that way, but they do that for every, like same with Tekken. I think the only exceptions is if they age them up, like Ivy in this game. I mean, if they don't age them up, like Ivy who doesn't age for whatever reason, and also Anna and Nina who didn't age, or they get replaced like Kunimitsu. Like it's just weird with like you can have older men, but you can't have older women. But this has Ezio from Assassin's Creed as the guest character, and so this was, I guess, a jump forward. It's kind of like, it reminds you of like the Tekken 3 of SoulCalibur when they had the huge jump forward in time, but I guess it wasn't well received because SoulCalibur 6, they brought it back. It kind of like takes place through SoulCalibur 1 era. It's kind of like a reboot of the storyline. As you can see, there's Geralt on this, but this is also the first one to have extensive DLC. This one had DLC, obviously that one had DLC. This had 2 seasons of DLC, so there's a lot more characters added via DLC, including 2B and then other SoulCalibur characters. Unfortunately, the game seems dead. There's no Season 3, and I don't know if they'll ever make a SoulCalibur 6, but I was so excited. I pre-ordered the deluxe editions of both the PS4 and Xbox One versions. I also have it on Steam, but I'm only showing the physical games here, but yeah, I was really excited for that game. Unfortunately, it's dead. I didn't play as much as I did play quite a bit when it came out, but also I got these on sale for pre-order back when Walmart used to do that, so I didn't pay full price for those, but they're good. It's a good game. I like SoulCalibur 6. I don't know what my favorite in the franchise is. Haven't played much. I'd say SoulCalibur is actually, I would say SoulCalibur is my favorite, maybe SoulCalibur 2 is second favorite, based on what I've played. But so I was going to put this in all in chronological order, but as you can see, it went from top to bottom, so I just decided, so this is the spin-off. I don't know if it's really a spin-off actually. This is just, it's not a fighting game. It's the only non-fighting game I got a physical release at least. There's also actually a free-to-play SoulCalibur game on PS3 and 360. Obviously that's digital only though, and the servers are down for that, but here's SoulCalibur Legends. So this is actually like a 3D action beat-em-up game. And I think this has, is it Floyd? Or Lloyd Irving? From Tales of Fantasia, Tales of Symphonia as its guest character. I played a bit of it, but not too much. I might play through it sometime. I know this game is not considered to be the best. It didn't have the greatest reception, but I wanted all the SoulCalibur games, so that's it. And there's also like obviously regional differences, like SoulCalibur, the Soul Blade. I mentioned that SoulCalibur, Soul Blade. Like the intro was changed for some censorship reasons, and I don't know what the other differences are, but that's it. So I hope you enjoyed seeing this, and until next time.